This episode of this Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey is brought to you by energy healer Jean Border's personal, powerful transformation program. Know you're leaving money on the table, but can't figure out how to bring it in? Need to double your productivity and profitability? Need an extra push to get things moving in the right direction? Visit www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com/transformation now and apply for a business consultation with Jean. Welcome to the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey, where we take out your emotional baggage and heal your emotional body so you get to enjoy the success you desire and deserve. Prepare to feel a sense of relief and empowerment as we get rid of the baggage you've been carrying that's held up your business success up until now. Be sure to visit our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, lean in, get comfortable, and prepare to take off.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Jean Border, and I am your host on the Focused Practical Dreamer's Journey podcast. I have a very special guest today. Her name is Marian Egan. We've been friends forever, it seems like, even though we've never met in person. We're one of those internet connections, if you will. She's in Ireland, and I'm in the U.S., so there's a little bit of distance between us, but not really, because we're both in the energy world and there's no such thing as distance. We're all connected. So hello, Marian. How are you? It's good to have you here.
Well, it's great, Jean. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be asked, and I'm delighted to be your guest today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for being here. So we have a lot to talk about. Marian has a really cool thing that she's come up with, and it's called heart art. I've always been fascinated with this. I've seen her do it. She works from her heart when she's connecting with other people, and she actually creates art. It's an amazing thing. So let's just get right to it. Marian, how'd you come up with this?
Well, I have to say it is heart art magic, and the magic is so important, Jean, because the magic is my acronym for my ability to go into my center, because that's what I do. I connect with myself deep down inside. I do a meditation before I start painting. So I get myself ready to paint. I set an intention. Now, the intention could be mine, or I could be painting on someone's behalf, which I've done too, So I set the intention and I meditate, and then I go paint. I have no idea what I'm going to paint because I'm painting from my subconscious, but my subconscious knows what needs to come through. And I feel that that's my subconscious showing me what I need to face. So you're coming face to face with what you need to look at within yourself, which is really, really cool, So I'm very lucky insofar as I started recording myself, videotaping myself, because I want to see where did I start and how did it come about. So I'm very lucky that I actually record all these sessions so I can look back, and I still do today, look back and just see the process. It's very rewarding. It's been magical. It's shown me so many things that it's just, there's no words to describe how it makes, first of all, how it makes me feel, because heart art is painting from the subconscious to express what you're feeling. And if you're feeling under par and you paint, now that feeling of negativity is outside of you, which frees up your body for new energy to come in. So, why not? It's like having a little shower on the inside. You're cleaning out the negativity that you no longer need to hold in your body. And it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. And because I paint with my hands, I'm in touch with the feeling of the paint. I love it, So when I see an image coming out, I'll stand back, I'll have a look. And if there's an image coming out, well, then I'll take a paintbrush and I'll bring out the image that wants to come through. It's great fun.
If you haven't caught on by now, Marian is a great painter. You see the picture behind her, that's just one of her hundreds probably of paintings that she's done. She's also a great knitter and crocheter, so you can see that on her body that she's created all that. It's amazing. Every time I talk to her, she's always doing something new. And something new she's done with her heart art magic is, you may or may not know, but there's a new craze sweeping the United States, and it has to do with cards. Card decks that can be motivational or instructional, and people are using them for all kinds of things, but Marian is now using it for her energy work. So why don't you talk about your card deck that you've created? Not only that, she's created several. So let's start with the first one. How did you come upon this idea of using your art to create a card deck, figure out what it would be for, and now how have they grown? How are you using them now?
Well, it's a really good question, and they came from pure and utter desperation, because it was during COVID. My mom got sick. My mom got COVID and pneumonia at the same time, and she was 95 years of age and on oxygen 24/7. And if I didn't think that was bad enough, then my daughter told me of her cancer diagnosis. So I had my mom on one hand, my daughter on the other hand, couldn't go see either of them because of lockdown. And my daughter wanted me to be her mom, not her therapist. And I turned to my heart art. So every week Jenny had chemo, I did a heart art painting, and I sent the energy of the painting to Mom and to Jenny. And then one day I did a meditation. It was a unicorn meditation. And in this meditation, I could see a bunch of unicorns coming into this meadow. And this a big purple unicorn came right up to me, stood in front of me, and all I could see was my reflection in the eye of the unicorn. And I just felt this transference of wisdom, energy, electricity, whatever you'd like to call it. I just felt I got so much connection with it. And it was so powerful that I decided I would paint that image. So I did. And normally I just paint on paper, but this time I took a canvas and I painted that image. And it was a day later, I was looking at the image. I was looking for a name of the painting, and the name came to me, Wisdom Inside and Outside. And then I got the inspiration. I need to create a card deck. Now, I know nothing about card decks, but I have this very good friend of mine, and I said, Jean.
We've been friends for a while.
How do I create a card deck? And she said, I'll put you in touch with someone who knows how to do card decks. So this is my card deck, Wisdom, Insight, and Foresight. And here's one of the images from that. And I call this Going for Gold. The tough times are behind you now, and they've taught you very valuable lessons. They have brought you forward into more successful and happier times. Enjoy the outcome. And I called this Massive Breakthrough. And each card has a message and a frequency number, which in itself has a healing modality. So there's 4 aspects of the healing. It's the color of the card, the image, the message, and the frequency number. So then I had this card deck, and I was saying, well, how do they work? I don't know how they work. So I took a journal, and 31st of March, 2020, I started recording my journal, my journey of these cards and how they work. And every day I did that. But what happened then was I rang a couple of clients and I said, can I do my cards with you? I didn't even know how to call it, whether it was a frequency installation or a card reading. I didn't know. But anyway, my clients, they were in pain and they couldn't come to my practice. So I'd get them to measure, well, what's your pain level? And out of 10 being the worst scenario. And they tell me it's 8 out of 10. And then I would intuitively choose a card. And sometimes it was 1 card or 2 or 3 cards. And lo and behold, their pain disappeared after they installed the frequency number. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh my gosh.
That's incredible. And you know, Jean, it happened time after time. And I did it on Zoom, again, so I could look back and see what happened. But it also meant, you know, I got permission to record. So I recorded these sessions. And then one day, I was asked about the cards, and somebody said, well, can I do that for myself? So then they started using the cards, but they didn't know how to use them really correctly. So I created a card course to get the maximum benefit. So because I'm a kinesiologist and have been for over 30 years, I brought an aspect of kinesiology in. So I started teaching people how to do kinesiology so they could test and see what's the number one priority card in this deck that's going to get rid of my pain or my anxiety or my stress, or if they were looking for guidance and direction on, you know, a certain aspect in their life. So that's what I did. And then on the 31st of March, 2023, this year, I was in Tenerife at the conference of the International Kinesiology College, presenting my card deck and my course. And my card deck course is now accredited with the International Kinesiology College Personal Development School. So anybody who does my card course now can get CPD points for their professional development, which is really, really cool, you know.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
And, you know, out of, as I say, out of desperation to the inspiration and to the magic now that's happening, it's wonderful, really, really wonderful. I'm so humbled, blessed that I felt I followed through on the inspiration that I was given. But I tell you, it wasn't easy. I mean, each time I had a challenge with it, I just kept going until I got it done, you know, just kept going.
And that takes us back to the whole reason why this podcast exists, because I work with so many clients who want something, but they don't know what they want. They don't know how to get there. They just know they're not happy with where they are. And so what you said is really key. You have to be aware of where you are, where you want to be, or where you want your business to be, and then take focused steps, even little steps, even if they go backwards, with your eye on the prize, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're not sure exactly what that's going to look like. So you have this dream and you stay focused on it, and it's the journey that can take you some really cool places. And so what were some of the, I'm going to say, detours that you had to go around these weird obstacles in order to get to where you wanted to go? So first off, you had to figure out how to do card decks, right?
Yeah, I did. And you put me in touch with a lovely lady called Rosie who helped, and she's the queen of card decks in the USA.
She's really cool. She's really cool.
And the wonderful thing, though, even though Rosie is really good, technology, Jean, has been, you know, a stumbling block for me, because
for a lot of people,
yeah,
it changes so quickly.
And the thing is, you know, my practice pre-COVID was people came here to me. I have never, ever, ever had to market myself, because all my marketing was purely word of mouth. Somebody would come here, they'd been physically challenged, they'd been down the medical route, they were still in pain. And because, you know, the way we work on the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, we work on the whole body. So we're able to direct people. My mission is to empower people to heal themselves. I don't do it. I'm just the facilitator. But I know how to do it, and I know what to do and how to direct. And this is what I say to people. Look, your brain is your conductor and your body is your orchestra. And your body has an innate intelligence on how to heal itself. But sometimes we're so stressed and we stay in the stress mode for so long. And as long as you're in the stress mode, you've got cortisol hormone running through your body, so I teach people how to switch off the cortisol drain and turn on the dopamine and serotonin hormone, which now kicks your body into a healing modality. And once you know what to do, it's like, do you remember before we drove cars, we didn't know how to do it. And when we started doing it, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to do this. And now we do it in automatic mode. We drive from here to there and we don't even think about how we did it. It's ingrained within us. So I found with me, using the heart art has been my vehicle. It's like my sat-nav system. Well, I find now, because I have this is my sat-nav system, or my GPS system. So I decide, okay, what do I want today? How do I need to feel today? What have I got going? And how am I going to get through my day? I write that out. I still do a journal. I'm on my third journal, on using these cards for myself, because I still, even though I know how they work now, it's been invaluable for me, because as you were saying, I had, the next deck that I created again came through. I don't know whether you want me to tell you that story or.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
So, just to say that Jenny now is really, really well. She's doing fantastic, and her cancer is gone, which is fantastic. Mum just passed away before her 97th birthday, so she got through her COVID and her pneumonia. And but there was one day I was out, about 6 months after Mum had passed away, I was out cycling, and then I realized, gosh, I dreamt of Mum last night. And in the dream, it was the day that Mum passed away. And I'm sitting beside her on her bed after she had passed. This is in the dream now. And I was with my mum when she passed, so I felt very honored to be there. So in the dream, Mum takes a deep breath in and opens her eyes and smiles. And I'm thinking, is she here? Is she not here? What's happening? I'm a bit confused. And I got permission from my mum before she died. I said, Mum, I'd love to do a memorial painting. So I knew she was going to be cremated. And I asked her, could I take your ashes and make my painting and put some of your ashes in my painting? That'll be my memorial painting for you. And I had been doing that anyway for other people. And she said, I would love that. So normally when I'd be with Mom, I'd be flicking through my phone and show her something I'd either painted or something I'd created or knit. And I'm going to show her this painting. And I'm looking and I'm saying, oh gosh, I can't show her that. Her ashes are in it. Anyway, so the next thing in the dream, she's walking around the room, and she couldn't walk unaided before she passed away, but it was like as if somebody took 30 years off of her. And she walked over to me and she put her arms around me and she gave me this big, massive hug.
Oh, how sweet.
Now, Jean, I can tell you now, even though I'm on my bicycle and I'm cycling in the middle of the countryside, that hug, I could feel it. And it was so physically and spiritually fulfilling.
Oh,
Oh, it was incredible. And I just said, oh my gosh, like I was just so taken aback, So when I came home like that, I always, I took a canvas out and I painted. Again, it was heart art. I didn't know what was going to come, but I painted the painting anyway. And I'm sitting there, it's on the easel. I'm looking at the painting and I was saying, okay, I need a name for this painting. And I'm looking at it and instantly, just like that, name drops in. I dreamed a dream, which is what happened. Then I thought about Susan Boyle and her Britain's Got Talent competition. And
amazing story. Yes.
Yeah. So I YouTube Susan Boyle. She's singing on YouTube. I'm looking at the painting. I'm very emotional. The tears are flowing. The door to my studio opens and I'm looking to see who comes in. Nobody walks in.
Oh my gosh.
The next thing, I felt. And then I got That's the name of your next card deck. So that's where this name came from. I dreamed a dream.
I think we need to make sure that everybody knows, flip around, just pick a card at random and flip it around so that we can see not the words, but there you go. Every one of these pictures, Marian has created herself.
These are my paintings, yeah. And then the message. So it just depends. This deck I created for personal growth. And oh my goodness, am I personally growing since I've started using them?
Isn't it amazing how if you set a target and you don't lose sight of the target, all your decisions lead you towards that target. Yes, you're going to have some obstacles. You're going to go around a few detours here and there. There may be a car broken down on the road in front of you, so you have to take a side road. But as long as you keep your eye on the target, the GPS internally keeps moving you towards it.
Yes.
So you have a more interesting journey.
I think that's the one thing that if everybody takes on board, that no matter what, I mean, you cannot make time, okay? But you can take time. And we're human beings, not human doings, you know, and I know there's times when we need to do, but there's also time for reflection and stepping back and looking at the bigger picture. And yes, it may be daunting at times and, you know, stressful, but, you know, you can take yourself out of a stressful situation, just even with breathing techniques. There's so many techniques that you can use to take the stress away and to allow yourself to just take a breather and just, you know, here we go. We start again. You just keep going, you know. I think when you keep focusing on the positives, because your thoughts emit an electrical energy and your feelings draw in a magnetic energy. So when you put the two together, you've got this electromagnetic energy with your thoughts and your feelings. And when I call this my 3H principle, your head and your heart, when they are connected, that will allow you to get into that automatic mode. And it's easier than trying to swim against the tide, you know. Just go with the flow. But it's conditioning yourself to take the time to give yourself the instruction that you need and follow through. And yes, okay, if things don't work out, there's no such thing as failure. That's just, well, that didn't work. So let's see, we'll tweak it another bit and see what does work, you know. You just keep going, you know. I think when you repress something, it'll just depress you. So it's keeping it going and going through the motions. Well, for me, I find that the painting is a great way of, it's not escaping, it's actually connecting to my inner self, and it's allowing me to see what it is I need to see so I can be the best that I can be. It's very freeing.
I'm gonna go back maybe 15 seconds. You were talking about, I'm going to use the word frequency. Even though you didn't say that specifically, you have frequency numbers on your cards. What are frequency numbers? And how does that relate to your heart and your head emitting and pulling in energies?
It's a really good question. And, you know, I was actually sitting in this chair the day that I realized that my paintings have a frequency energy, because I've been using frequencies in my practice for many years. And
what does that mean, frequencies? You use frequencies in your practice.
Okay, so if you were old enough to remember years and years ago, and at your radio station, you had to turn a dial. And if the dial wasn't exactly on the frequency, you got this static and you couldn't actually hear the music or the program that you were tuning into. So it's allowing you to tune into what it is you want to create in your life. And when you set your intention this is what I find anyway with my cards. I set the intention and then I choose the appropriate card for that intention for that day, in that moment. And it's amazing when I actually install the frequency number on the card. Like there was one day I was actually out cycling. I came back and I had a horrific pain in my kidneys. It was my left kidney actually. And I was nearly doubled over because the pain level was a 9 out of 10. And I took my, I dreamed a dream deck. I tested to see which deck do I need. So it was I dreamed a dream. I took it out and I took out the first card. I installed the number, and by the second card, the pain level had decreased. And by the time I installed the third frequency number into my body, my pain was gone. And I was saying, I'm now experiencing what my clients had experienced, but I personally experienced it myself. So for me, it's like knowing what you want, deciding that you're going to get it, and then I feel the frequency draws it towards you and brings it into you. So it's tuning in. There's an energetic frequency out there for everyone to draw upon, and we can all do it. You just need to know how to do it. And I just find my cards are an easy way of doing that because they're all set up. It's already done, you know. I'm not sure, does that answer your question?
Isn't it just crazy stuff? It's just weird, isn't it? I mean, I tell my clients all the time, how do I explain this? You know, we get on the phone, we have a conversation, something changes in your life. That's really what it is. You do these very simple steps and you see the change happen, right? You take out a few cards and you look at it and you pay attention to what it says and you take that into yourself, if you will, you focus on it, right? And then you notice something changes. Awareness is a big part of how I work with, especially, well, I'm going to say with any client, right? Because if you have to become aware of something before you start to measure it or realize even that it's not serving you and that you want it to change, and then figuring out what you want, right? But the awareness of this helps me. All I do is take it in, I focus on it, and I bring it in as part of me, right? Being, not doing, being, right? Mm-hmm. That sounds so weird, but it happens all the time. It's the funniest thing. It really is. And I also use that whole radio station story. You know, you go around you're singing along to your favorite song. Maybe it's the Beach Boys and Good Vibrations. Do you remember that old song?
Yeah.
You know, you get good vibes from some people and you get bad vibes from other people. Well, that's internally, that's your system telling you, this is a good fit for you. Oh no, stay away from that. That might be bad for you. But we ignore what our intuition tells us so often, when really, if we just paid attention, we might have a little bit easier time of it sometimes, right?
Well, I think just as you were saying, like just bringing that awareness. So, you know, some people listening now will probably say, gosh, now I understand that now. So once you understand it, then start using it, you know. But what we're saying about frequencies, I mean, you and I now are on a frequency. We're on a Zoom connection. Or if I ring your mobile, that's another frequency. So I'm going to get you. I'm not going to get your next door neighbor, you know. Exactly. So that number connects me to you. So frequencies work. I mean, it's proven. But the frequencies we're talking about are frequencies that people can use, and they don't really realize just yet how they can use them, and they can use them to maximize the benefit of what they want in their life. So what I say to people is, don't focus on what you don't want. Don't focus on the pain. Don't focus on the negativity, because what you focus on, what you think about, you bring about. So if you want to change what's happening and you want more of the good stuff, then you've got to think of the good thoughts that's going to bring that to you, you know. So it's changing your focus and changing. It's like what I said about learning to drive, you know. You're in your automatic mode now when you get into your car, because you don't even think about, you just turn the engine on and off you go. So when we get into our automatic mode of awareness, that's when we really will excel and get what we really do want, and forget about the things that we don't want in life, you know. But as you say, you have to really know what it is you want. Sometimes people don't know that.
A lot of times people don't know that. They just know that they're not happy. Part of my career was with team building, right? Going into offices and maybe they didn't function the way I would like them to function, and having different people with different personalities come together in one team. So you had to create an awareness of, what do we want this team to look like? How do we want this operation to function? What knowledge, skills, abilities, mindset do we need in order to get from where we are to this goal of where we want to be, right? So awareness is the first part of all this. And then you create a pathway to change, right? A journey that everyone goes on together, and you adjust as you go, but you keep your eye on the prize, as some people would say, right? Keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah.
Don't freak out every day if you're not there, because you have to understand things take time. Things happen in a specific order, right?
Yeah.
So awareness is always the first step.
Yeah. It's really, really so important, you know. Yeah, and what I say to people is, look, even if you don't know what it is you want, if you write down what you don't want, and then what's the opposite of that? That gives you a starting point. What is the opposite of what's happening in your life that you don't want? And then you can start focusing on what you really do want, you know. And happiness comes from inside. It's not something that finds you. You create the happiness within yourself, you know. And I think that's, for me, that's what heart to art is connecting to your inner self and finding the solutions. The solutions are there when you know how your body works and how your thought processes work and how your thinking works. And when you have an idea of what that is, you can make incremental, I just say, even take one small step a day will make a massive difference in the future.
There's something that I've heard called the 1% solution. If every day you make a 1% course correction towards your goal, eventually you're going to end up there. But if you don't make that course correction, you can end up way off, right? So it's another way of looking at awareness and focus. Focus on what you want. If you focus, oh, here's another one. This is one that Tony Robbins tells all the time. Race car driver, anybody, race car drivers focus on where they want to be, not where they're headed. Because if you focus on where you're headed, you focus on the obstacle ahead of you. For whatever reason, we are geared to head towards whatever we focus on, right? Yeah. So if you want to get around it, you focus on something over here, and then you naturally gravitate towards this over here and totally miss that obstacle, right? So it's, you said it different. I like the way you said it, but the way he says is that wherever your focus goes, whatever you focus on, your energy follows along with it, you know? And you said the same thing, but I like the way you said it better. But yeah, so be careful what you focus on. If you focus on the negative, you're going to see more of it in your life. Your subconscious looks for proof that you were right? That is true. Yeah. So if you focus on, oh, this is proof that I did something right, then you're going to see more and more proof that you're on the right course.
Yeah. Right? And, you know, that's the other thing too, is a lot of people will find that, like, if I give an example of, say, for instance, somebody who did something on you many, many years ago, right? And I've proven this so many times in clinic. Somebody will come in and, you know, they're still upset about what somebody did or said or whatever, you know. And I will, as a kinesiologist, I'll get them to just think about the person. They think about the person and their energy drops, because I do that with a muscle test. The muscle will drop. And I'll say, that person's not even here. And you're allowing them to take your energy away. And then they get very annoyed about that. So forgiveness is a huge, like, forgiveness on an energy level is massive, So when you forgive on an energy level, then you're clearing out your junk, you're clearing out your closet, and you're making room for new energy to literally, come into your body and give you what it is you do need. Many years ago, Jean, I was laid up, and my family were taking care of me, right? And I was doing everything in my power to get back on my feet. I was bedridden for months, and the children had to do their own washing. They had to get themselves to school. They had to get themselves home from school. If it was lashing rain, it was tough. They had to cook their own dinners. I never saw outside my bedroom door for many, many months. And like that, I listened to Tony Robbins. I listened to Dr. Caroline Myss. I was doing it was my university of life, because there was nowhere on earth you could get that time off as a mother and as a wife, right? But my body just wouldn't function, and I couldn't walk and I couldn't sit. So I was doing all I could. But I wrote a little poem for myself, and I called it Forgiveness for Freedom, because I was thinking, if there's something or somebody I need to forgive, then I need to get this out of my system, right? So I said, I forgive myself for all the times I did not like myself. I forgive myself for all the times I did not love myself. I forgive myself for all my faults and failures. I forgive myself for ever hurting anyone or thing. And I forgive myself and them in order to choose freedom.
Wow.
That was for So if anybody needs to rock those words, please do. And, use them, but say them from your heart, because that will set you free in lots of ways.
They've done all kinds of studies on gratitude and forgiveness. Forgiveness, lack of forgiveness for yourself or for others gets to the point, you start out with it emotionally, mentally, spiritual impact. And the longer you hold it, that translates into physical ailments. It's very interesting, the science behind all this energy stuff that we do, right? Mindset stuff, whatever you want to call this. Old teachings that we used to know that fell out of common practice. A lot of this is just old information, but the science is now catching up with it. They're doing studies on how different thoughts and emotions and memories affect different parts of the brain, right? And then from there, how it affects the actual physical body. Very interesting stuff. But forgiveness is one of the big things that can cause physical ailments, because it has such a negative impact on the psyche, on the entire spiritual, emotional, mental, physical body of a person.
It is amazing how the body is so, it's so wonderful. And you can either have it working with you or against you. But again, it's back to, it's our choice,
And even when it's working against you, sometimes it thinks it's working for you, right? Because if you've taken on so much and you just can't take on one more thing, and your body gets sick, and that gives you a respite from taking on one more thing, right? So it's helping you, even though it feels like it's, turning on you. It's very interesting, all the stuff that our body does to protect us, because it's always looking at everything through a filter of, is this safe? Will this keep me alive, right? That's the underarching mission of the subconscious, is to keep you alive, right? So everything is filtered through that thought of, is this safe?
I call it, everybody's heard the fight-flight response. I call it fight, flight, freeze, flock. Some people don't think about the flock business. Right? So that means losing yourself in a crowd, because then you won't stand out. We can hide, but you can't hide from yourself.
People try really hard.
There's so much that can be done just when you know what to do and how to do it, And like that again, when you learn a new skill, it really just stands to you, So it's all about self-education, and yeah, find someone that'll help you to find out what it is you need to know, and then keep doing it, because consistent, as you say, consistently doing 1% or one step every day will get you to your goal and where you want to be and what you want to get to, and how you want to feel.
I was going to ask the question, if you had to give someone advice, an entrepreneur who was just starting, they thought they're further along on their journey than they are, maybe, what advice would you give? But I think you already answered that. But was there something else that if someone is just starting on their journey and they run into pitfalls, what advice might you give?
Well, again, sometimes it's stepping back and looking at the bigger picture, because sometimes you get so caught up in detail, you cannot see the wood for the trees, so it's just stepping back and just saying, okay, give myself 10 minutes, 30 minutes, give myself a day, just time out to restock, rethink, refuel, and renew, yeah, it's like, for me, I've had many timeouts, as you call them. And that was my body saying, okay, Marian, that's it. I'm done. You've just gone past the point, not the point of no return, but not doing any more, and now I respect what my physical capabilities are. And it's one of the reasons why I do look after, I would say, primarily look after yourself, because we need to put ourselves first. And it's not to be selfish, it's to be self-full. Because when your needs are met, then you have the energy and the vitality to look after those around you. So it's what you'd be told on a plane. You put your own mask on first. So that's really the important thing. And then just think about, okay, how am I feeling? And how would I like to feel? So what can I do? And that's one of the things I'd even say to someone, even if, you're not a painter like I'm a painter, but if you even just take a pencil and a piece of paper and just doodle, you are allowing your subconscious to just have a rest and just to be, and if you double doodle with two hands and two pencils, you're integrating your left brain and your right brain, and you're connecting the corpus callosum, which is right between the two brains. So you're actually switching on your left and right brain. So then you've got more of a focus, because now you switched your brain on and you can think more clearly.
And I have to jump in and say there was a period of time when we used to meet every week on Zoom. Okay, Marian and I have never met in person, but on Zoom, we used to meet like every week. And I can't tell you the number of times she said, okay, so have you gotten out because I have colored pencils, I have watercolor, I have all this stuff, and I'm not an artist in any way, shape, or form, but I do like to doodle. And so now, did you get out your crayons? Did you get out your colored pencils? Yes, Marian, or no. So she really does live by this stuff that she's saying. It's pretty funny for you to remind me of that, though.
Just even if you take a pencil and bring it for a walk around a piece of paper, and then just start filling in the spaces. You can put zeros, you can put X, you can put your initials, little cross lines, or just shade them in, whatever. That's doodling.
It's hilarious. When in my previous life, I worked with the federal government for like 36 years with the Department of Defense. So that means there's a lot of phone calls, teleconferences, we call them now. But I would doodle. So the whole time we're on the phone, I have to keep the creative half of my brain engaged, I guess, is the way I would think of that. Because otherwise, those things can be very technical oriented and not all that interesting or engaging. But you had to keep up and you had to pay attention. You had to learn the stuff. But the way it worked for me is I would doodle. So I had a calendar on my desk. Yes, it was a paper calendar. And I was able to just doodle as I was on the phone. So you could tell when I'd had a long conference call, because there were more doodles on my calendar than normal. But it worked for me. So
It does. It works, and that's the thing. And then at the end of, one thing I find that, like if I'm really upset or annoyed or angry, I will just go paint, And if I can't go paint, I'll knit or I'll do something or crochet or, but that's my time out. If I'm not painting or knitting, I'm not breathing. That's my meditation, so.
Okay, here's another funny thing about Marian. She can multitask. Okay, she's laughing already. You know what a rebounder is, right? It's a little trampoline that you can stand on and walk and, do exercises, and it's good for the whole body. It's good for the eyes. It's good for the lymphatic system. She'll do that while she's knitting and while she's listening to recordings of it or a podcast or something. Hilarious. Just hilarious.
It's my exercising and my joyful, exercise. Well, do you know what the best exercise is that you can do, right? It's everybody's listening. The best exercise you can do is the one that you will do.
Yes.
I know swimming is really good and I can swim. I don't like it. I don't do it. So whatever exercise it is you do, if it's just walking or gardening, whatever it is, just go do it. But, exercise, sleep, good nutrition, and, looking after yourself, being mindful of your body, because, Jean, you know this because I sign my emails with it. If your body is not healthy, where are you going to live? This is my house. This is where I live. And I learned that from 22 years ago, not being able to take care of myself. And now that I can take care of myself, I do that. And I take care of myself for my children's sake and my grandchildren's sake and my husband's sake. I do that not just for me, but for everybody. So it's really important. And I think when you do lose your health, you really do find that health is your wealth. It's the one thing that I've decided. And when I looked at my mom as she got older, and as she said, Marian, don't get old. She used to say to me, don't get old. We had a great relationship, and it was sad to see her go. But then at the end of the day, it's what she wanted, what she needed, and she couldn't remain any longer. She said, Marian, I'm existing, I'm not living. So it's important to really enjoy yourself, enjoy life, enjoy yourself, be yourself, be your authentic self, and, have integrity within yourself. What you say you're going to do, even when the mood you've set it in is gone. Just do it, It's really important just to be and be happy.
And I think you are.
Oh, I am. Yeah. And I'm just so grateful. I mean, I'm so grateful that Jenny is doing so well and she's healthy and she's happy. And that's everything to me, that she got through that. And it was just amazing that she did. And I'm so grateful for that,
Well, I want to thank you for the time that you have spent with me today and with the listeners. I always enjoy, obviously, I always enjoy our conversations. And we think so much alike in some ways and so differently in other ways, but it's always fun catching up.
Absolutely. Well, you've been so helpful to me on every level with advice and, guiding me in the right direction. And it's just been phenomenal. I'm so grateful that we are good friends because you've supported me in everything I've done, and you've gotten me in the right direction and the right road, and you've kept me on the right road, because a few times you say, no, don't do that.
Well, in the world we live in, it's so easy to go for the next shiny object, right? The shiny object syndrome. Well, it sounds like if I did this, but how would that really get you towards your goal, right? Is that really just a distraction, or is it really a help? The bit with the coming up with a card deck, that was really cool, and all the having to learn the technology and having to meet the people who could help you get it formatted, and then finding a distribution chain. You didn't even mention you're in how many countries now with your card deck?
15
countries. From someone who doesn't market, right? Who didn't have to market, was all word of mouth. She was all in-person sessions with her clients, whereas now a lot of the card reading stuff is online, right? You do it in person, but you also do it online, remotely, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all that's just a learning experience that you learn as you go.
Yeah. Well, again, as I say, everything is easy when you know how. It's
That's hilarious.
And the finding out,
It's getting to the place where you think you know how. Oh, that's funny.
Here's one thing that I found was really amazing, because anytime I would have to speak in public, my voice would just shake, rattle, and roll. My body would shake, rattle, and roll, and you'd hear it in my voice. But when I was in Tenerife at this conference of the International Kinesiology College, and I'm presenting to a room full of professionals, and it was live streamed around the world, I did my cards on myself 2 months before I spoke. And my intention was that I will stand, I will deliver, and I will not shake, rattle, and roll while I'm doing my presentation. And that's exactly what happened, and it was wonderful. One of the ladies in the audience, I did a demonstration on how the cards work, and I asked, had anybody got pain? And this lady volunteered. She came up and I just demonstrated how the cards worked. And it was just one card. Her pain level was 7 out of 10. And just one card and installing one frequency number, like a set of numbers, her pain was gone. But then another lady in the audience put her hand up and she said, my pain is gone as well, because I got them all to join in, which was lovely, But so the cards, when I say about using them for personal development, that was a personal development intention, and it worked, and it's been wonderful, really, really wonderful. I'm so grateful for it, But one thing that I kind of will leave you with is, and it's something, when your eyes see your hands do the work of your heart, your circle of life is complete.
Oh, do you want to repeat that?
When your eyes sees your hands do the work of your heart, your circle of life is complete. So just be good to yourself, be your own best friend, and do like and do love yourself. So, so important. How can you expect anybody else to do that if you don't do it for yourself? Again, not being selfish, being self-full. So important. So I hope that helps.
And I think we'll leave it right there. However, what's your website address so people can come and see what you do?
It's marianegan.ie. Let me see. I have it somewhere.
We'll have all this written below the podcast so you can check it out. But
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
IE is Ireland, for those of you who wonder what the IE stands for.
And here's for your listeners, right? This is called Out on a Limb. Connection, not perfection. Be brave about stepping out on a limb, being yourself, and fulfilling your needs first. That's really...
Yay, that's timely, isn't it?
Not following the crowds, being your own unique self with self-confidence, self-awareness, and self-assurance. The more you do this, the more comfortable you are until it becomes your automatic mode. Employ your new ideas, apply them, get the result, and enjoy your amazing success. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the frequency number if anybody wants to use it. And that helps to bring about that being out on a limb scenario.
Amazing stuff. Marian is also, when she was creating her card deck, like she mentioned, she videos herself as she's doing some of this hard art painting. And so we're going to have a link down below also where you can watch her actually doing some of this creation from her heart. And if you're interested in her cards, you'll be able to, pick up a deck or two. Also, as she mentioned, she has an accredited training that if you're interested in taking the training for continuing education credits, all that information will be right there for you. And I so appreciate your time. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
And thank you so much for asking me. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Any last words for our listeners or?
Well, my mission is to empower people to heal themselves. And what I would say, have it in your own head that this is something you can do for yourself. Allow your body to heal itself. Yes, there are times when we do need medical intervention, and that's wonderful. But think about liking yourself, loving yourself, and being your own best friend, and be true to yourself. I mean, changing those things within yourself. That's the first step on your journey towards where you want to be, being happy and enjoying life.
And that's where we'll leave it. Everyone be happy, enjoy your life, and enjoy every step of your journey on this focused, practical dreamers journey. And until next time, this is your host, Jean Border. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey, where we take out your emotional baggage and heal your emotional body so you get to enjoy the success you desire and deserve. Remember to visit our website at www.focusedpracticaldreamer.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Focused Practical Dreamers Journey.